peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, good morning Africa, wherever you are. We are looking at the rise from the ashes of the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya. For the last 2 years, since the nullification of elections of 2017, the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya has been on the headlines and in every newspaper worldwide, nationally, regionally, and Africa at large. The nullification of that election brought what we call a dual system of courage of justice.
That the presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law, rendering the declared results invalid, null, and void.
The justice that is demanded by civil society, international civil society, and the local civil societies, and the justice demanded by the interest of the nation. Given the two, which one do Kenyans want? Do they want the interest of the nation? In the interest of the nation, President Uhuru Kenyatta decided to go back to campaign in order to show the world that he was able, and he is able, and he was the winner. The campaigns took place, an election was reconducted. For the second time, Uhuru emerged the winner of that election. From then, the judiciary has never been a judiciary for the people of Kenya. It has been a judiciary commanded, supported, equipped logistically by either local NGOs or international NGOs that tell them on what to do, not to do. And above all, the situation of judicial officers themselves being activists. We have seen a number of judges acting like activists on the streets, making decisions that are not in the interest of the judiciary and not in the interest of the country at large. The release of terrorists or alleged terrorists from courts using the law, and then the terrorists return to kill many Kenyans, is one of the factors that has caught our eye. In Africa School of Thought, we believe that Chief Justice Maraga and his entire team, or Chief Justice Maraga, the Deputy Chief Justice, Madam Muiru, have not done a service for this country. They have misused the powers conferred upon them by the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya to either do politicking or accuse the executive of being political or being a witch hunter against the judiciary. Time and time again, President Uhuru Kenyatta has pumped in money in the judiciary to raise the standards of the employees of the judiciary, to give the judges freedom and welfare that they are able to conduct their affairs without interference. Is it time now for the Kenyans to say we have had enough of a bad judiciary? Is it time now for us to fight and for Africa to rise up Because we see a lot of shrinkage of constitutionalism being done by the judges. If you look at what the judges in Malawi did, they did it in the morning, they reversed it in the afternoon, they ate it during dinner. Is this what Kenyans want? I leave it to you, Kenyans. Our hopes lie on the judicial service, the new judicial service system that has been put there. And hopefully, and only hopefully, that one day we shall rise from the ashes of corruption. Thank you.
Was there a judiciary coup to unseat the government in the aftermath of Kenya's 2017 election? Who was involved in this coup, and how deep did it run? Is Kenya's judiciary still at risk from these rogue agents? In the run-up to the August 2017 elections, the people of Kenya witnessed unusual judicial activity around the role and place of the Independent Electoral Commission. Numerous injunctions were filed by civil society and political parties trying to influence the election. These court cases involve significant matters, such as acquiring voting material down to inconsequential matters, such as the color used on the ballot papers. The effect this had was frustrating the Electoral Commission and almost delaying the whole election altogether. The motivation behind these delays and judicial interferences was simple: greed. The outcome was sinister, a constitutional crisis, and the beneficiaries undefined: cartels and power brokers. We'll begin our story on the 20th of September and work our way back to where the plot began and who was involved. September 20th, Supreme Court, Nairobi. Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwelu is reading a prepared statement to the court. Observers note that she is stumbling through the document, unsure of what she is reading.
An impregnable case on both limbs of the section, to wit, accurate, verifiable, accountable.
There is a reason for this. She did not prepare the document herself and has not taken time to familiarize herself with the text. Contrasted with her fellow judges, the scene becomes more suspicious. The truth is, the document she is reading was prepared for her by someone she has never met in Austria. It was delivered to her office the day before, and she has barely had a chance to read it. The author of this statement met with Chief Justice David Maraga in Vienna, Austria between the 2nd of September and the 10th of September. Why was the Chief Justice in Vienna for a week during the most crucial moment of Kenya's history? Only the day before, September 1st, the Supreme Court had nullified the election result and informed the public that the judges would be preparing their statements in the days to follow. Curiously, the Chief Justice's diary shows that he had traveled to meet a representative of the Open Society Foundation, a group with an unclear purpose but well-spread networks around the world. Why did Kenya's Chief Justice fly to meet Open Society representative Waikwa Noike after making that crucial decision? Why was the Deputy Chief Justice's statement prepared by a third party unknown to the public? By this stage, the coup had already developed and was in its final stage. All that was needed was for the public to unanimously accept the judge's statements and proceed to a second election, which was also to be nullified, as these confidential text messages reveal. The entire plot to nullify the election rested in 3 key places. Rosalind Akombe infiltrating and betraying the Electoral Commission from within, Supreme Court Register Esther Naikaki, who would receive evidence for the presidential petition and allow falsified and fake forms into evidence, and the biased judiciary, which was eyeing more funding from open society in return for judicial conformity with the Soros-led institution.
Viewers, good morning. This morning, I want to address the issue of Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. The legacy of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya keeps on moving, keeps on going forward and forward. Since the handshake in 2018 that brought about the peace, the tranquility, the unity of purpose, President Uhuru's star has been rising. All over Africa, people are thinking of using the model that Kenya used to stop any form of violence, chaos on the streets after elections. As you know, all of you are aware that elections in Africa produce 2 things: after or before or after the voting. Disputed elections, winner takes it all, loser doesn't accept the results. But the Kenyan model takes us miles and miles away from the normal type of democracy. The democracy, a negotiated format, a consensus format. A democracy that gives consensus a chance. A democracy that talks about the future of a country, the unity of a country, as opposed to a fragmented country, polarized country, where most African countries find themselves in. We have seen in the last 10 years or so, most of the elections in Africa have been contested by the opposition. Very few people in Africa, countries in Africa, where opposition has conceded defeat and come up to congratulate the winner. We have seen the South African model has worked very well. The Ghanaian model has worked so well. I don't see any other country in Africa where the models have worked well. I thought it would be Sierra Leone, but today we see Sierra Leone going back to the same ethnic tensions, as you can see from the reports that are circulating in the international media and the local media. So elections in Africa are contentious issues. They create a contentious position, create a departing point for the people of Africa, of that particular nation. The legacy of Uhuru Kenyatta, therefore, will be remembered for having brought the tranquility that we have today, the peace, the new format, the new tool of having a better organized civil Africa, an Africa without violence, an Africa without chaos after elections, when the opposition accepts to work for the interests of a nation, not personal interests. This has worked in Kenya, And thank you very much, Your Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, for the tenacity and the steadfastness that you have guided this handshake up to today. For those who want to mutilate the handshake, belittle the handshake, one lesson they should learn is to look at Libya. Libya was once a territory we all respected. It is no more. Let's keep the handshake and the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Thank you.
Diplomatic ties were established between our countries. That was respectively on the 17th and 18th December. And I believe that our meeting is going to give an additional impetus to strengthening our relationship. Of course, our priority is the development of trade and economic ties, as well as ensuring a stable increase in our trade. In 2018, we saw an increase in the indicators. It was an increase of 1.2%. I refer to our bilateral trade. And we are very glad that some companies have managed to establish a solid position in the Kenyan market, and I do hope that we'll talk about that in detail today. Thank you.
Russia-Africa Economic Forum and Summit, I believe, will present not just Russia and Kenya, but Russia and Africa, with significant opportunities to really reshape and expand our relations, both at the bilateral level, as I said, the multilateral level, but also to rekindle, in your own words, the historic relations between Russia and Africa. Indeed, again, as you have stated, Africa's aspirations for freedom and liberty was greatly enriched by the relationship with Russia. Our founding fathers, including my own father, CJ Maraga, drew great vision from the Soviet Union, and for that, we remain grateful. Your Excellency, to preserve this history and heritage, indeed, one of the requests I'm going to put to you is we would like you to facilitate a coalition and retrieval of some of the information and material that may be here in Russia relating to the activities and the histories of Kenya's freedom fighters, including that of CJ Kenyatta. This is something that we would truly appreciate, and at some stage would like to send some of our officials to work with your own historians and archivists to see what we can do to put that history together and preserve it for posterity. Mr. President, I also believe that this forum you have organized offers, again, Russia and Africa the opportunity to focus on ways and means of expanding our political, economic, technical, cultural, and educational interests in a manner that serves both our countries and promotes Russia's partnership with the African Union.
There are a number of countries in Africa that produce oil. Kenya today became one of the member states of oil-producing countries in Africa. It exported its first oil, where President Uhuru Kenyatta flagged off the oil that was got from Turkana in one of the northeastern parts of this country. But is oil a curse to Africa? Is oil a curse to the entire places where oil is found? We see in the Middle East, the wars in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, in United Arab Emirates. It has developed the area in Qatar. We all have many cities, skyscrapers coming up because of the proceeds from the oil. But can Africa emulate that example and bring the same oil proceeds to make sure that it makes lives better for the people, the betterment of the people of Africa and their families and their other activities. I want to see that. But I might not be able to explain why Africa always falls a victim. Are there external forces that make the oil in Africa to become sour? Is it the competition of the oil companies, Total and Shell BP and others that come to Africa to take the share of the oil? Simply because we have no energy, ability to be able to drill the oil ourselves, refine it ourselves. It is shocking, therefore, to go to Nigeria, for example, a country that produces third in the world for oil production, has no petrol at the petrol station. Is this not a curse? If it's not a curse, what do you call it? Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this Friday morning. We are coming to you right from the heart of Kenya's capital, right here in Nairobi. And in studio with me is Dr. David Masanga. He's the founder and chairperson, Punchline Africa TV. Is here with me. We are going to look into the stories, of course, that have been making headlines, the news that have been making headlines, not only in Kenya, but across Africa and beyond. But again, away from that, we'll also be looking into the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the judiciary and the shackles around it, and of course, the just concluded by-election in Kibra, and also looking at the peace deal in as far as South Sudan is concerned. We understand that the two leaders, Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, are currently still in Uganda's capital, Kampala, to try and strike a peace truce. We also are reliably informed that former Vice President of Kenya, Kalonzo Musyoka, is equally there representing President Uhuru Kenyatta, just in an attempt to see how they can strike a compromise and get back to work so that the people of South Sudan can enjoy the peace. Of course, our contacts are scrolling at the bottom of your screen, +254 795 638 145. Is our hotline number. You can call us live. Also, you can tweet us directly at Masanga Doctor, at Tawish M. Tell us where you're watching us from the program, and tell us, of course, your views and some of your comments. We'll be going through them as we continue with the program. My name is Samuel Tawish. I'll be hosting the program with Dr. David Masanga. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you very much, Tawish. Welcome back. Tawish is our investigative journalist and editor found out of the station, but today you are inside the station. Good morning, viewers, wherever you are. It's a colorful day in Nairobi, colorful day across Africa, and we believe that the people of Amazonia, wherever you are, you have some relief coming. You are at least America, at least our noise. We started making noise with you in 2016. Sure. I took up this subject not knowing that one day, and one day only, and one day, America will come on to our rescue. Thank you very much, America, for listening. The people of Amazonia need freedom, and that freedom is about to come. We have struggled together. Children don't go to school. Children are in the bushes. The mothers are in the bushes. Paulo Biya continues to rule with an iron fist, an iron hand, killing people, innocent people, closing courts, dispensary schools, roads, houses burned. People are not talking, but this station has been talking. Equally in Biafra, we have been talking. Equally in Kenya, we have been talking. And the legacy trend of President Uhuru Kenyatta, we write it, we say it, and we shall not be intimidated. You can write whatever you want to write, wherever you are. Write your legacy. But me, I'm documenting the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. You don't gag me not to write. I'm writing what I see. And I'm putting forward the ideas that we think Kenya can go better. Kenya is an African country for all of us. It's not for small people or big people or large people or yellow. It is a country that is giving Africa a direction. And therefore, Tawish, we want to see this country rise and rise. And we are happy to talk about the legacy, the big four. What can we do? There are so many things that have not been talked about. Developmental things. Because politics has colored everything. People have colored themselves in politics. They don't talk about development. There are many good things that the Jubilee Party has brought out which were not there. It is like you telling me that I should not, after 34 years in power in Uganda, I should not talk about the good things that Museveni has brought. I should only concentrate on one aspect of it, democracy. But there is development. There is development. There are roads. There is a new bridge that has been built across Nile. No other bridge. You show me a new bridge. As Nile crosses from Uganda up to Egypt, show me one bridge that has been built of recent. Which one? There's one in Kampala, in Uganda.
Yeah.
The only other bridge, apart from the bridges that are there already, Obudimani Bridge, the Aswani Bridge, you see all those. There are people who should learn so many things on this way. And when you join this program and this television, you learn quite a lot of things. Some of the things, some people go for interview and they fail. They fail because they don't listen. They only want to see the name. They say, no, I'm not listening. But this name could bring something very new. The legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Take it up.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. I think what we are facing today, the challenges that the legacy, of course, is facing in Kenya today is the kind of politics you are talking about, the premature and preoccupation in as far as succession, 2022 succession politics is concerned. Because again, if we could have we could translate the zeal that we are seeing people engage in as far as the politics is concerned, the political rhetoric is concerned. You've seen the kind of energy, the kind of zeal that people have been campaigning in as far as Kibra by-election that was just concluded the other day is concerned. I mean, if we could use the same energy, for example, to speak for the legacy, to ensure that we help President Kenyatta in the fight against corruption, to ensure that we carry out developmental projects as President Uhuru Kenyatta has called us to do, then I think Kenya will be far by now. We'll just be talking about what we have achieved so far and probably what are the remainders in as far as ahead of the 2022 is concerned, Dr. Masanga. But again, politics seem to have actually preoccupied every other thing, and the people who are supposed to support President Kenyatta in achieving his legacy, fighting corruption and ensuring that we unite our people in this country today, are not doing as much. The only thing they're doing is more of politics and preoccupied about whether or not they're going to get seats come 2022 general election, which is very, very unfortunate. But again, I think looking onto the political dynamics that are actually taking shape in the country today, it's somehow promising, Daktari. It's a bit promising because, again, you've seen how it has played out in Kibra the other day. I mean, factions seem to be forming slowly. There are people who are in support of the handshake, in support of the yet-to-be-released BBI, in support of the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta and ensuring that the peace that we enjoy today as a country really can hold. And that is why you see people have come across the political divide actually in support, not of Raila Odinga as an individual, but supporting the handshake as it is, or as it should, and supporting Imran Okoth, and they've actually even termed him the firstborn of the handshake. What does it tell you? That Kenyans are really tired of politics of rhetoric, politics of hate and tribalism, politics of trying to incite one community against the other, politics of trying to show chest and demonstrate how much financial muscle you have against the other candidates. I mean, it is clearly been demonstrated.
Talking about the financial muscle.
Yes.
It didn't work.
It didn't.
The financial muscle in Kibra failed.
It did miserably.
Over 300 million shillings, I'm told. Over. Poured
Yeah.
It went zero. People ate it. In fact, we encourage people to eat it.
Because the money.
Because some of this money might be yours.
Yeah.
So eat it. All the people don't, next time when there's an election and the people in Kenya, I have liked the people of Kibra.
Yeah.
You are aware of, I give you kudos.
They're the most organized people.
You are the most organized people so far in this country. You eat the money and vote choice. There is one thing in political science, choice. Choice is never bought. Tawish left his home this morning. I didn't tell him to wear a tie. One of the principles of democracy is choice. You don't tell me to wear a kitenge.
Yeah.
It is choice. If you go to your wardrobe and look at the clothes that you want, it is that link between your brain, the clothes, and where you are going. It's choice.
Yeah.
So the people of Kibra, congratulations. And the people of, whether you voted Mariga or you voted Okoth, congratulations. You ate the money. That money that was stolen and that was hidden, it was shown. We saw the pub, the bees, betting. You know, this company has been making money.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mariga should be given credit.
Yeah.
Also for having used part of the stolen betting money, betting, to pump into Kibera.
Yeah.
And some people changed. Out of this money, one person might have bought uniform for the child. Good.
Yeah.
So that is very clever voting.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, Dr. But now as the dust settles in Kibra, I think there's a passionate appeal that we would like to make to the candidates, more so the person who has now won that election. Because, again, we've seen a campaign having been characterized by a lot of pomp and color. I mean, a lot of pledges and promises to the people of Kibra, what they have wanted to do for the people of Kibra. I mean, they have made that choice. And they have elected their MP now. It is time for them now to concentrate so much on serving the people and ensuring that they fulfill the pledges that they have made for the people of Kibra. Because again, we will have another time to go back to these people to seek yet another mandate from them come 2022. So 2022 is not far from now, especially in as far as politics is concerned. But again, there are so many lessons we can also learn as a country, and especially those of us who are in political circles, I mean, when you have a house that is divided, Daktari, it can't really stand. And that is what has been manifested in as far as Jubilee, for example, is concerned. Because President Kenyatta appeared very... I mean, he was outright that he did not want this kind of contests. He did not want to muddy himself in as far as confrontational politics.
I think Tawish put it very clearly.
Yes.
Politics of confrontation.
Yes.
Politics of chest bumping.
Yeah.
Politics of telling people names.
Yeah.
Creating things that amuse people when people are in serious conditions.
Yeah.
People in Kibera does not need a bedroom.
Yeah.
You don't call this place a bedroom.
Yeah.
Yet, in the bedroom, they are suffering. There are things that they have got to address. That type of politics is what kills Africa.
Yeah.
There are people who thrive on that type of politics. And you know that's why maybe President Uhuru Kenyatta stood up aloof and said, well, all of us, I am a Jubilee friend, a friend of the Jubilee people. I'm not a member of Jubilee Party by card because I don't vote, but a very great friend of Jubilee.
Yeah.
I campaigned for Jubilee. I broke my hand in the second campaign against Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm one of the few critics of Raila Odinga because of his way that he was handling his politics previously. Yeah. And you know, you and I were here.
Yeah, but he's now reformed. He's reformed.
But
now.
when the man has reformed and seen the journey towards good politics, and he has come out to tell President Uhuru Kenyatta that Kenya is above all of us.
Yeah.
Let's put our differences together and churn the way of national unity.
Yeah, sure. Dr.
Why? I would be a madman not to support.
Sure. I was just finishing up on this, and just like you've added on to those points, Dr. Hari, is that there are issues we need to critically interrogate as a country moving forward. I mean, out of this by-election, one, the IEBC really also has to be relooked. People continue to ask very pertinent questions as to why and how IEBC went ahead and, for example, even allowed McDonald Mariga, a person who's never, for example, registered as a voter, is not registered in the place we've had a by-election. They locked the people of Kibra from further registering as voters, but we could have an individual outside the window period actually go and register in a different constituency and participate in that election as a candidate and still expect the people to support him as a candidate. Is a person who was apparently imposed on the people. The question of democracy, Dr. Masanga, and also allowing party members to elect or nominate them, the kind of person they want to represent them, has also been manifested, because the people in Jubilee, more so the candidates, the diehards, the ardent supporters of Jubilee, were not in agreement that McDonald Mariga was just picked from the streets, actually bulldozed and given the ticket to contest for this parliamentary seat without the blessings of the ranks and files of the party. Yes. And the results is out here for everyone to see. And for ODM also, they have learned a lesson. Because previously, the way ODM has also been managing their affairs, it has not been really something that was exciting. They have been to dishing out certificates and dishing out tickets to individuals without really considering the support or the people that the candidates that the people want on the ground. And this time round, it's kudos to ODM, because they have heed to the cries and pleas of their supporters. They have allowed them to participate in the nomination, and they've had the right candidate, and that is why you see we have the results we have today. So by and large, we have lessons to learn out of this by-election.
Yes, but the biggest party to learn from this by-election is Jubilee Party.
Or a faction
no,
within
Jubilee Party. I've written my commentary.
Yeah.
And those who want to read my commentary can read in the legacy trend this morning, saying that a divided, and I replied to the tweet of His Excellency, the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. I replied to his tweet.
Yeah.
I told him that this is a very great lesson for us, we who are friends of Jubilee Party. We should learn not to be divided. 2, we should learn not to pick candidates and impose them on people. 3, Mariga had problems from the start, the way go. His registration in Stare, his own age was a query. People queried his age. He doesn't know when he was born. He doesn't know how voting systems work in Kenya. It looks he has never voted. We just got this man from nowhere. If Jubilee had a better candidate, a well-bred candidate within Kibra, there could have been a very stiff competition.
And we had serious guys who had expressed interest.
Yes,
but because
who were born there, who have been there. But Mariga, because he plays football, and I'm told he's even a son-in-law of some people within the ranks. I don't know whether you have heard, but it is me as an investigative journalist, I pick everything.
Yeah.
He's a son-in-law. We had to bring him to kill our party, a party that everybody loves. Jubilee is a ruling party. It's a lesson. When the DP wrote on Twitter today that I said, no, these are lessons, and not in a bad way. I answered him very nicely and politely, Your Excellency. These are lessons. I hope can I read my tweet?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes, so that people don't think that, because there are some people who think that I and the DP, we don't talk. We talk on Twitter.
Yeah.
We exchange views. And I have no problem. He's a head of state.
Yeah.
He's a deputy head of state of this country.
Sure.
And therefore, there is no need of, you don't underrate, you don't insult. We don't insult each other. We exchange views. I said today, I exchanged my views very candidly, and I said about what I had written which is very serious. I don't know where it is. You can go ahead.
But Doctor, even as you look for that tweet over there, I mean, you've seen the kind of headlines that our newspapers have captured today. Raila shrugs of DP Ruto in intense Kibra by-election. That is the Star. The Standard says Raila locks Ruto out of bedroom. And then the Daily Nation says Raila's big victory as ODM retains Kibra seat. But more interesting, Dr. Masanga, is when you look into all these, newspapers, it widely captures the former Kakamega Senator, Dr. Boni.
Yes, I'm coming to that. I said,
yes.
I wrote today about 1 hour ago at 7:41. I replied to His Excellency, the Deputy President, on Twitter. I said, as a friend of Jubilee Party, I hope we have learned some lessons. That a house divided does not stand. That's point number one. The worst thing is the bad luck man called Boni Halwale. I was right that Boni Halwale has bad luck, like the late Kofi Annan. Anything he touches collapses, but Jubilee tried their level best. I'm candid.
Yeah.
I don't beat about the bush.
You did without insults, without anything.
You remember I've been telling you, I've not insulted anybody.
Sure.
I've been telling these people, and I've been telling the Deputy President, let him listen today from me. Don't bring Halwale near your party. You see, there are people, where they go, God refuses. Even if you are praying, and God is about to deliver the thing in your pocket, it runs away.
Yeah.
Kofi Annan went to the grave, a very miserable man. The last action of Kofi Annan was Syria. Look at where Syria is. Zimbabwe. Look at what Zimbabwe is. I had to fly into Zimbabwe to tell Emerson Mnangagwa, don't listen to Kofi Annan. Just take the route. Use the Raila Odinga Uhuru method of handshake. And that's the one I'm developing. Zimbabwe will soon go that route. Yeah. I'm telling you, Emerson is going to come to this country in a few weeks. In a few months, he's going to come here. This is the only route that you can safeguard Zimbabwe today. But had Mnangagwa listened to Kofi Annan, I told him, Kofi Annan, I know him. I've disagreed with him. He created the ICC for eating. NGO, the money, commission in the middle, goes to Kofi Annan Foundation. I'm telling you, everything he has created, right from Taylor, it collapses. It is like a Halwale. Now, Mr. Halwale, why should you be given even national television with these stones? The Nation newspaper is TV, parades him in a tie in the morning. What do you tell people, the children? You pick stones? You pick a stone. No, surely. You pick a stone and you are caught on camera with a stone. Me, Tawish, when I do that, never talk to me.
Yeah.
I even close this television and go home. Because I will be very embarrassed. Me, even if you pour beer on me, I'll walk away.
Some people have argued that he was doing this in self-defense.
Which is self-defense? Now, if a dog bites a man, that's news. There's no news there.
Yeah, there's no news.
Because normally a dog has to bite you. Yeah. But if a man bites a dog, self-defense, what for? This was a boring day. Why did you go to those people? To provoke them. To try, they must have found a reason why they chased Halwale.
Sure. This is a very big tragedy.
You mean how many people were there? They were not chased.
So many.
These are the people who lied to the deputy president and they have spoiled our party. Mr. Halwale is not a member of Jubilee Party. Halwale has not contributed anything. I contributed more for Jubilee's win by breaking my hand You were there when my hand got broken.
I remember.
Where were we coming from? Mombasa. In a convoy of 10 cars, my own cars, with petrol from my own pocket. What did Halwale contribute to the party? What did Halwale contribute to the party? He was telling Ruto that Ruto is a thief every morning. And the people forget so easily. Then you bring such a quack to spoil the whole. People would have voted Mariga.
Yes.
Because some people, when they saw a man like this one, they ran away. You can't, it's bad luck. Look at all the parties he has changed from Soita Standard, Wamarwa, Wetangula, Mama, where? Which lawyer does that type of politics? Even Masinde Muliro never did that. We lawyers are principled. When you like something, you die with it.
Yeah.
But this guy is an opportunist of the highest level. Very high level of opportunist. You see, Mr. Halwale never wanted sugar to be brought from Uganda. You remember we had a debate with Jeff Koinange. He told me I was stupid. I said, Uganda has more sugar, extra sugar. Why don't you buy it and why don't you allow them to export the sugar into Kenya? Why do you go to Mexico to buy sugar?
Or Brazil.
He tore my papers in front of the TV, you remember?
Yeah, sure.
Later on, when it came to quoting, he looked for the same papers that he had torn to pieces, quoting the same figures. Now, let this be a warning shot to His Excellency, the Deputy President, that the people that you are surrounding yourself with, who tell you lies every day, when people love you, they come and say, Matanga is very bad. I am not bad.
Yeah.
I have never been bad. I climbed those planes to go and rescue my brother.
Yeah.
I didn't know the differences of people who had fixed him. And had I known that Kuria was one of those who fixed the Deputy President, I've told you this, I would have thrown Kuria out of the plane. I was upset when Kuria said he bought witnesses. And every time Kuria was listening, Kumbe, he is the one who bought witnesses. I was very angered. Very, very angered. But now turn around and see who are the people who started a very bad campaign in Mount Kenya against President Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, we are talking about the legacy here.
Yes.
It's Kuria. Kuria and Didi Nyoro and Ichungwa. Yeah. They brought a bad name for the president in Mount Kenya for money purposes only. Now you can see how people eat your money and then they turn around. They have failed. None of them can go back and say, I did not touch a stone. The stone is in your hands.
Yeah. And now there are actually lies that are being peddled now out there in regards to the aftermath of this by-election in Kibra, where now the likes of Boni Halwale are retreating back to their ethnic groupings and saying the Luyas were being targeted in Kibra, the Luyas have been beaten up, without really underscoring the fact that there are so many Luyas
who was
in Kibra.
beating?
Yeah.
Where was he beaten? Near the Luya. In fact, you know this, where Halwale was being beaten was Luya themselves.
Yeah.
Because they were not happy with what he was doing.
Yeah.
Well, Halwale is, I told you, from the time he had a clinic in Mombasa, he has never healed another patient. I don't think if you take Halwale to the medical room, he can heal your disease. Because he has lost the whole profession.
Yeah. Me,
as a political scientist, I cannot run to be a doctor with these things in here. I know. Yeah. I stick to my land. If you ask me about Karl Marx, Mr. Tawish, yes, I'll tell you who Karl Marx is. Yeah. I'll tell you what Max Weber is. I'll tell you what Montaigne is. I'll tell you what Plato, Aristotle, all this. Yeah. They are here. Socrates, everything is inside here. But this man cannot heal you. Because he has lost his morality. Morality is gone. A doctor who loses morality can give you a wrong injection.
Yes.
There you are.
Well, Dr. And basically just summing up on the same, I think because most of the time you will see people, for example, even when you come to this question of corruption, people come here in Nairobi, they engage themselves in corruption, they steal the money from the public coffers. When they are caught, they retreat back to their communities and say their community is being targeted. As for Boni Halwale, you know, there are so many lawyers who are in Kibra. In fact, when you look into the entire campaign from both sides of the divide, they are mostly actually being spearheaded by the Luya nation. And not every lawyer actually was beaten yesterday in Kibra, save for Boni Halwale, because of the bad behavior.
Our friend Martin Ngati.
Yeah, Martin Ngati, yes.
He got some votes.
Yes.
Martin Ngati, he was not beaten.
Yes.
Martin Ngati campaign.
Yes.
He has put his name on the paper.
Yes.
That he took part in an election. He's a lawyer.
Yeah.
But Butichi.
Yes.
Is a lawyer. He got 263 votes.
Even Mariga.
Mariga is a lawyer.
Yeah.
But the point that they did was to take bad politics on Mariga.
Yes.
Impose him on the people. Even the lawyers turned around and said, this guy who is only coming, he had millions. He was earning 8 million per week as a footballer. 80 million per week. But he has not even 80 million shillings can change that stadium near his house where he learned football.
Yeah.
Why didn't he do it? Then you think he's going to do it.
Because he was not interested.
Jubilee sent a wrong candidate in Kibra. We lost because of a bad, dishonest candidature. Started with card missing. The age is doubted. Oh my God, another thing. Oh my God.
But there are no regrets. The people of Kibra have, after all, won. They have won in this election.
And the one thing that we must, this lesson, and Tawish, there's one point you made here, which we shouldn't lose.
Yeah.
As long as this electoral commission still remains, and I believe now, the DP and Halwale, the DP and the Dwale will agree with me. I've been telling them, as long as the current electoral commission headed by Chebukati exists, we shall have turmoil in this country. We better clean it now. And I hope, and I've told you, you have been listening to most of my statements here.
Yeah.
If BBI does not correct the question of IEBC. Is it IEBC?
IEBC, yeah, sure.
Yes, if they don't correct that, Kenya is going to be in chaos because of the IEBC.
What do we do now? Do we need patching or we need a total overhaul?
Overhaul. Change the structures. The biggest problem of Kenya is this, and let me speak nicely, slowly. The biggest problem of Kenya is the electoral mechanisms. Kenyans have no problem with each other. Kenyans only start quarreling when election date is announced. Kenyans start beating each other, hating each other because of election year has been announced. During non-election year, are we not together now?
We are together.
Are people not eating?
They are eating.
Are they not in the restaurant? Are they not traveling? There's no more crime which happens everywhere in the world. People stealing cows here, a car here, robbery here, is no more. But once election date is set in Kenya, the whole train starts. The whole train starts. So if you change the electoral mechanisms of this country, how they elect, not the electoral commission, but how Kenyans elect their representatives, you will not have even a quorum.
Yeah.
Because if you do what we call proportional representation, boss, the MP who will come in parliament will be worth the MP. Look at Malema in South Africa. People call him all the names. But Malema remains one of the best MPs nationally.
Yeah.
Why? He was elected on proportional representation mechanism of South Africa. Therefore, he remains a South African MP, not an MP from Limpopo. You get my point?
Yes, I do.
He speaks as a South African. The problem we have here is MPs don't speak as Kenyans. If you go to Tanzanian parliament, the MP from Ruvuma or Nachingwea or Tabora speaks the same language like the MP who is in Arusha, Moshi, Mwanza, Bukoba. The same. Do you know why? Wako na matatizo ile matatizo ziko. Mtanzania anazungumza tuko na hii shida na kwetu.
Yeah, they acknowledge the challenges together.
Here we have a problem that the people instead speak niko na shida kwangu. We balkanize the state in two tribes kwangu. Mimi mutu ya Narok niko na shida. Mimi niko mutu the senator of Kericho.
Aaron Cheriot.
Yes, our people. Have you seen that language?
Yes.
Our people. Which one? My people. In Tanzania is our people. In South Africa, our people. In Kenya is my people. This is politics, and let's put it close here so that the people learn. In Kenya, people say my people. In Uganda, people say our people. Yeah. Because tribalism in Uganda has been criminalized. If you tell me that this Matanga, this Mugisu here, police is hearing, they will arrest you.
Yeah. Dr. I would like us now to wind up on the IEBC. And there's this one thing really that amused me yesterday. I was asking myself this question. How come the individual parties and individual candidates actually were able to get the entire results from all the polling stations, over 183, within like 3 hours or after the voting had been concluded? They were able to tally the results, actually know who had won the election, with Maraga coming out and conceding defeat early enough because they had tallied and known who had won. But you have IEBC doing, I mean, all these, the body which is supposed to do this, the whole day up to today in the morning.
Projection.
So, yeah.
Boss, I will answer it straight away because on elections, you know, I'm an expert today of also, not of stealing, but I'm a very good expert.
What does it talk of capacity?
Like Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah. What does it speak of capacity of the IEBC?
The capacity of IEBC is zero, but the capacity of candidate, if you have your agent from any of the counting centers, you can know you have lost.
Or one.
Maraga was correct. Yeah, we had agents.
But IEBC equally had, electoral officials.
Yes, but
the station.
IEBC is a group.
Yes.
The others are one. So it's one telephone call to your boss, to the candidate that hapa imeumana. Huko we have one.
Yes.
The Goretti we have. Karen we have. This we have. That we've lost.
Then you tally the results.
Then you tally and look at the projection, the rest. If you have lost in mainly the areas that you expected, then the rest are left. You know that you have lost. That's why Maraga, one thing I credit. Maraga, and I want to, I'm
sure because we'll be getting into
Yes, Maraga, the name comes. Maraga. Yes. There is one thing I want to give him a credit, and over this national television, everybody watching. If Kenyans keep that spirit of conceding, Maraga, you did me proud last night. Despite the way you were brought.
Yeah.
You are proud. I'm proud of you. You conceded. You made a telephone call and say, I've scored my own goal. Hallelujah. 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 You conceded. That is the type of politics Africa is looking for.
Yeah, I think because he has also played soccer rather, because with soccer, you need to exercise utmost discipline. When the referee, blows the whistles and says you are offside, then you have to actually abide by it. When they say that you've scored an own goal, then you have to abide by it. But I think maybe there's kind of correlation between playing soccer and also politics.
Yes.
That's why you see
Donald
Maraga. Yeah, he's pulled a surprise here.
He had the manners. He has left us with one lesson. Forget about the people who brought him hurriedly.
Yeah.
Next time when he tries nicely, he could win. We only blame the people, the way he was brought in.
Yes.
Somebody just putting him, even when you can watch the signal was not very good.
Yeah.
But he has taught us, one Kenyans, one good, and Africans, one good lesson. Concede. And I don't think Maraga is going to go to court. If he had not conceded, he would have gone to court.
Yeah.
If I were him, I wouldn't even try. I don't think Jubilee wants to waste time and money about anything. This was even if.
But how do you know? Maybe the likes of Halwale and Korir are persuading him to go to court.
Well, for throwing stones.
Because these are the advisors.
But considering going to court for throwing stones.
You saw what happened in Gambia, the Gambian election. Do you remember what happened?
Yes.
When Yaya Jammeh considered defeat and said he had actually thrown the towel and accepted that Adama Barrow had won the election, only for him to come back later and say, the Electoral Commission colluded with the opposition to rig him out. But we cannot rule out any possibility. But again, with Mariga, I don't expect that he's going to do such a thing.
Halwale to go as who? Halwale is not a member of Jubilee Party. I've told you this, Tawish. He's not a member of Jubilee Party.
But he's been masquerading as a member of the Jubilee Party.
By someone who brought him. But the Secretary General of Jubilee Party does not know Halwale. That's why the Secretary General stayed away. How do you campaign with a man who has not renounced the words that he used against the deputy president alone during elections? I will play these clips on Monday. All Halwale's clips on Monday against the deputy president. And I want people to judge and see what he was saying.
Yeah.
He's the one who brought this name of corruption on the deputy president. It's Mr. Halwale. So why are you fearing to say this? And then you bring him near you. It's a curse. Mimi nikwambia.
So, Dr. as we wind up on this, maybe very finally, now with this kind of by-election, of course it's done now. What kind of lessons can we learn in terms of the coming BBI, the handshake moving forward?
Yes. Lesson number one, Jubilee should be united.
Yeah.
The deputy president should respect the president all the time and work together. We have only 2 years left. Gentlemen, we don't have much time. We need the development to be seen. Your Excellency, please, Deputy President, sir, just unite, work with the president. Help the president to achieve the legacy. You will win very early in the morning.
Yes.
You will be competitive. The party. 3, work on the party. Work on the party. Work on the party. Change the rules, how the party should be. Unite the party. Jubilee should take that. 3, face, agree, give Kenya a new format of an electoral commission.
Yes, Dr. Well, and there's also this question of, for example, the attitude that our politicians also have. The kind of, how do we call it? In Kiswahili, we call it kujipiga kifua. You've seen that actually evident and manifest in this particular by-election in Kibra. And I think it is also high time we need to see young leaders also actually accord respect to somehow age or elderly politicians, because I remember some time back there's something that Deputy President William Ruto talked of the late William Timama, Timama from Narok. When he actually compared him with Vasco da Gama, that he was a politician when he was still in school and such kind of things, and he's still there. He should actually pave way for the new generation and such kind of things. I think it is also important for our politicians to appreciate that in as much as we are also coming and we want to take the mantle, we need to appreciate those who have been there in the first place, because again, they have also created this space. They have created this democratic space that we are enjoying today.
Tawish,
yes.
You younger people want to take over so fast. And there is one thing that I learned, and I want to leave it to you to learn today. During 1978-79, there is one word that I learned from Moshi. From Moshi, Tanzania, when the Ugandans called for a national convention, Nyerere allowed us to call a national convention in Moshi to create Uganda National Liberation Front, UNLF. I was a younger man. I was understanding English very well. I'd finished my A-levels. I'd done all things were bad for me. I'd run to become a rebel. A rebel in Moshi, across here. Outside the hall, we came very many. I was in a movement called Save Uganda movement of Mr. Ateka Jaru, and we are locked out. Some of us, some movements were locked out. So for us who were locked out, we went to some small hotel. I still visit Moshi and look at that hotel. One man stood up and said, and this man is dead. He's a Karamojong by name Omonyo Jok. Omonyo Jok, Yash Tandon, Professor Edward Rukumayo, Professor Dani Nabudele, who were now being told not to enter because they were presumed to be communists. We have brought in Lule. Now you imagine who is the central capitalist, the biggest tribe of Baganda. Someone said, so when we are shouting, said we are going to smash the door in so that we enter the conference. Omonyo Jok said, came to the stairs and said, we are the youth. You are the youth. But play politics of positive neutrality. Have you heard of that word? Positive neutrality. From that day, that word has always been in my head. Even when we arrived in Kampala, took over power, the first department where I went to work was the UNLF Political and Diplomatic Commission. Listen to this. Political and Diplomatic Commission of Professor Dan Nabudere, Edward Rugumayo was in charge of the main council, the main head of UNLF, the parliament. Nabudere was in charge of diplomatic commission. Myself and a man called Nasasira, the late, not this one present, the brother of this one. We had a doctrine. In fact, in those days, I was very young and small. We were focusing communist style. In fact, me, I don't know where I changed to become a capitalist, a hardcore communist. But I took the word positive neutrality. The youth today need to take positive neutrality. For example, the chairperson of a parastatal body in Kenya, they meet 3 times in a month, in a year. Do you want to become a chairperson of a parastatal body? Do you? In fact, if they give you now, do you?
No.
After the term is over, what do you do with your rest of your life? Let's be honest. What do you do with the rest of your life? What do you do? You sit down because you have finished 3 years.
Yeah.
You're a chairman of the parastatal is on a car and allowance for 3. What else? Unless you are being taken there to steal, you'll end up doing tenders and agreeing, forcing the managing director to give you tenders. Maybe that's what youth want.
Yeah.
That's why when the president is appointing these youth, he's appointing youth to a place where you become a managing director, a director, an accountant, a person.
And clearly, Doctor, you saw what befell the Kisumu speaker. You remember the Onyango Law. He went there with the appetite, and actually, after he was given that position, was it Lake Basin or something of the sort? The lot of money was actually swindled through this tenderpreneur process and such kind of things.
Onyango today is my friend. But I told him, when Onyango left TNA, he went and insulted the president of Republic of Kenya. Very many big words. But look at what has haunted Onyango. Even in Kisumu now, they have voted him out. Here in the board where they put him as a chairman of the board, very younger generation. Yeah. You saw he hammered all the money for the Lake Basin money. It's gone.
Yeah.
So you tell me, that is life.
Yeah, sure.
So let's move on. This week, the week that was,
we
have finished the legacy. We are looking for development. President Uhuru Kenyatta needs support for developmental projects. Let people give him that support now. There is no time. You know, we have been saying we shall give support when? We have only 2 years. Literally 2 years left. Some months will be wasted in politics. So we have 2 years. Either you give support now, or you leave him to go where people can help him to leave a legacy of national unity.
Sure.
That's we conclude it there.
Yes.
Move to your favorite subject.
Well, Doctor, I think now we need to cross over and discuss these matters regarding judiciary and Chief Justice Dr. David Maraga as regards to calls for his resignation. There are a lot of people, and a lot of institutions, a lot of people are actually calling out on David Maraga to own up because, again, there are a lot of failures that are informed by his incompetence and lackluster in the judiciary. And so some people view like it will be an honorable thing for David Maraga just to give up and go home honorably instead of holding onto that seat and actually embarrass himself. What is your take about these calls for Chief Justice Dr. David Maraga actually to surrender? Because yet again, Dr. Masanga, there are critics, people who argue that whatever kind of predicament that the judiciary is facing may be instigated by the government or the executive to frustrate the works of the judiciary and at least to want them to do what? To actually toe the line in as far as what the executive wants. What is your take about this?
There are 3 factors that affect the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya. Factor number 1, Maraga. Factor number 2, Maraga. And the factor number 3, Maraga. Am I all right?
Sure. So it is not about the institution of the judiciary, it's about individuals, some individuals in the judiciary.
That's one category.
Yes.
The second category is the criminal justice system of the Republic of Kenya. Is wrong. The criminal justice system, as much as I have criticized Maraga 3 times,
yes,
the criminal justice system of the Republic of Kenya need to be changed.
It is incoherent.
Yes. It leaves a lot of loopholes. It has tied the hands of judges. They cannot do anything. There the judges have a point. And I say it so that people don't say I am biased or against Maraga. Maraga has incompetence added with the bad criminal justice system.
Yeah.
They all structures, what we call structural challenges, they all come on one thing, the judiciary. The poor management, the staffing, poor salaries creates loopholes for corruption. On the other hand, the system, the criminal justice system, does not give the judges impetus to work harder. It gives them, demoralizes them. You have a person who has stolen 500 million. He's brought into your court. What do you do with him? You look at the penal code. You look at what the court, what the Constitution has said. Instead of the Constitution being straightforward that in 500 million, you will not get bail today. Let it go in, let the investigations get finished, bring that case in 2 months. When the DPP and the DCI have finished all the investigations, that's how people conduct things. That is where the problem is. Okay, even if now, if you don't do that, you are going to have a problem. You must change the criminal justice system of Republic of Kenya. That if anybody is caught on economic crime, you have to spend some 6 months in jail while investigations are being done. This blanket bail condition to everybody. We are not yet in a society where there is social structure. For example, ask the Kenyans, the people you give bail every day, do they adhere to bail conditions? Do they adhere to bail conditions?
They don't.
If you go to the police station today and ask how many people have signed according to what the judges said, you'll even find that Itumbi signed everywhere for the whole year. And he is seated at home. And he has repeated, he was told enough to write anything in his writing. Where is the probation officer who should help the court? We don't have. So there, I stand on the side of the court. If you have a bad judge, like a Maraga who does not want to shout and say this is what, this all right, and say, Parliament, change the law.
Yes.
Change the law and bring me these guys. Then my judges will now say, sorry, that amount of money, you have to spend some 3 months while your case, and I want this case to be brought here, Mr. DPP, when all the files are ready. The case will take only 4 days. You are sentenced, acquitted, or jailed. That is how we can change the courts. Let's not condemn the courts alone. Let's condemn the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system of a country includes the police, probation, the prisons, okay? Those type of bail conditions, judges, advocates, defense lawyers who bribe and fix cases. So it's a cocktail of difficulties in the judiciary. But when you have a head of judiciary behaving as if he doesn't know this cocktail of problems, when he comes out, he only comes out to talk about money.
While at that, Dr. Masanga, hold on. While at that, the question of money, funding to the judiciary. I mean, some of the critics, yourself, of course, Dr. Masanga included, have faulted David Maraga for coming out in the open and, for example, speaking about the challenges that the judiciary is facing, the question of disrespect, apparently, quote unquote, against himself and some of the judges and the judicial officers by the executive, because it's talked about, for example, his facilitation, the question of money, the kind of attending, for example, the national holiday or national events, and the kind of attention that is being accorded to. Do you suppose the issues that Dr. Maraga is raising, for example, are genuine and they hold some water, or is it the way he conveyed the message that is actually rattling some people the wrong way?
Complaining about money is not a bad thing.
Yes.
But how you complain about it is the bad thing. Why didn't Maraga write to the president quietly and say, please, this money is not enough for us? There was no need of my Lord Justice Maraga standing in front of the Supreme Court lonely, a lonely ranger. It means the members of JSC were not interested. They didn't want to go to have a fight direct with the president.
Mm-hmm. It's like what has happened in Kibra.
Yes. You see? Someone just comes out and says...
He forces, I want to talk about this and I have to address it.
I have to address it.
Yes.
And they said, yes, I'm coming. I'm landing by helicopter. Sindio walimshomesa lesson sasa. Kibira is a lesson. Very big lesson. That you don't go in and say this is this. So Maraga should have written, the Chief Justice has access to the president. Why doesn't he just write to the president and tell the president, I have a problem, we don't have enough money, we have this and that, and they sit down, then the president tells him why some of these things. It doesn't mean he's influencing you to go and lock up people. No. There is independence of these institutions. You know what you can do. Then the president also tell you his frustration. So many corrupt people have come to your court. You have left them walk free. We can't collect enough taxation because there is no money. We can't give you this. Explain. Then probably tell the president, change the law. Asking members of parliament to change the law. Speak with the speaker there. Collect the speaker and you go to the president. That's all people. That's why some of us are mad.
Yes.
I am not mad because I want Maraga's case or he has done anything wrong to me.
Yes.
I'm mad about an elder of 67 years old or 69 years old shouting the way he shouted. It means then we have no wisdom to live to the younger generation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very well, Dr. Masanga. But again, before we wind up on that topic, there's this question about the lacuna in law. I just wanted to get your perspective on this because some people have argued, for example, was it that maybe the drafters of our constitution got it wrong by indicating that we have three arms of government? Maybe you can give us, you can explain to us a little bit more, Dr. Masanga, on this question. Three arms of government, where we have the assembly, the parliament, we have the executive, and we have the legislature, rather, the executive and the judiciary. What does it really mean? Is Maraga, for example, overlapping on his roles?
Yes. You have hit the nail on the head. Overlapping. Three arms of government. Among the three arms, there is one which is given a sword. Has Maraga been given a sword? Who swears in Maraga? When Maraga is being sworn in, he swears before who?
The president.
Yeah. But the president swears before who?
Before Kenyans.
Political science. The president of Republic of Kenya swears before the Kenyan population. Maraga swears before the president. The Speaker of National Assembly swears before Maraga. Am I wrong?
You're right.
They work in that hierarchy. The Speaker of National Assembly is never given a sword. Maraga is never given a sword. The sword is a symbol of power in Kenya. And that sword is given to one person only. That is His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, son of soil, the Pan-African guy. That's it. Maraga cannot get it unless he dissolves. Even if he dissolves parliament, he will bring a crisis. People will go back to court and say the reasons. He's not beyond the president. He has independence, inter-independent. He can operate independently. He doesn't need to ask the president, how many years can I lock up Tawish? Mm-hmm. He can decide by the law. And they say, that's what the law says. You stole, you shot, you robbed the bank, I've sentenced you to life. The president, and I mark you now, this is where you see where power lies. Maraga cannot commute your sentence. But the president of Republic of any country can commute your sentence.
He talks about power then.
Are we together?
Yeah.
Today you got it.
Yeah.
The president of the Republic of Kenya can commute your sentence. Because of good behavior, he can say, go home. He overrides the Maraga on executive powers.
Very finally, on that very topic, Dr. Masanga, probably before we just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be looking into South Sudan and the peace deal. The question of people argue that maybe we are trying to street lynch Dr. David Maraga, that if at all there's a genuine concern, genuine allegation against Chief Justice Dr. Maraga, then we have to constitute a framework. We have to constitute a legal way of removing him from office and then just calling blanketly for his resignation from office. Maybe briefly, what is your comment about that? Because again, I understand that there are procedures within which we can engage to see into it that
they are coming.
Yes.
Petitions are coming.
To the JS.
22, yes.
To the JS, yeah.
I have seen at least 10 people who are filing petition against His Excellency Dr. David Maraga.
Yeah.
Yes. They are coming.
Okay, Daktari.
You saw in Mombasa. Were you not on TV?
Yes, I saw.
Where did Maraga alight from? The podium where Ruto alighted from. Then he told a lie on his press conference that he was not recognized. He was passed through smaller nooks. We played the tape here yesterday. We can play it for you. If you didn't see it yesterday, I can play it.
It's normal for African people always to ask for more.
Yes.
You remember the time of Raila Odinga when he was prime minister, he used to complain about the nusu mkate, the red carpet or such kind of a thing. You remember about those?
The traits in which the voice in which the Chief Justice is doing things is leading us to power. He wants power. Mm-hmm. He's showing he needs political power, not judicial power. Mm-hmm. And the earlier we check him, the better.
The better. Thank you so much, Daktari. I think on that note, we have to take a short break. But when we come back, we want to look into this very critical topic as well as regards to the peace deal in as far as South Sudan is concerned. We understand that Riek Machar, the president of South Sudan, as well as the opposition chief, that is Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, are currently in Kampala, Uganda, hosted by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, just in an attempt to try to see if they can strike a compromise and reach to a deal in as far as the 12th deadline is concerned. Don't go too far. We'll be right back with more, including also, of course, the finality on the newspaper review. Continue watching.
Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you.
Very Very well, welcome back to the final stretch of the Punch Call right here from Punchline Africa TV. We are coming to you live from the heart of Kenya's capital in Nairobi. And in studio is Dr. David Masanga, of course, my co-host. And my name is Samuel Taush. Thank you so much for watching. There are so many of your comments coming in thick and fast. And I think it's only honorable thing for me to go through some of them before we now get back to discuss matters South Sudan and the peace. And if eventually we are going to have it, because I understand there's a 12th November deadline. Is it really going to hold, or what is the way forward? We understand that the two leaders are currently in Uganda with the host, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka from Kenya, who is representing President Uhuru Kenyatta. Be rest assured that with Dr. David Masanga in studio, he's actually the right person to articulate more on this. But again, before I engage him on the same, let me just go through some of your comments. Agot One says, Dr. David Masanga, good morning. Thank you so much. Peace is out around the corner for South Sudan. That is Chol Makor. And we have Oscar Andira says, and you're lucky. They say Ruto plays petty politics. That is Oscar Andira. He wasn't for this. It's not very clear exactly what is the point is. And another one who goes by the name Chol here says, African nations like to invest in foreign weapons. Anything is foreign for Africa. And then we have another one who goes by the name Ombui says Halwale is sliding to craziness. He goes again ahead to say he was defending himself, but unfortunately he should have not gone there in the first place. I think that is as far as Kibra by-election is concerned. Good morning, Dr. Masanga and Punchline Africa TV. That is Dominic Nwandu, and we have Kevo Mutungui as also watching. We need freedom in Biafra. That is Ubana Utina. Good afternoon from here, Malaysia. That is Chuku, and so many of the comments, of course. But you're praising the incumbent who rigs the election and never concedes defeat. It is not that the incumbent is always the winner, and the role of the opposition is too. Lomayang Lado, I believe, from South Sudan. And good morning, David. Malit Chol Arok. What is the topic of today? Of course, we've already handled a handful of them. Dr. Masanga, there's so many of some questions which have been raised here. If you can just respond to them, a few of them before we engage into this topic of South Sudan.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for having listened to us. We have done the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. We have laid it bare, developmental. We are looking this time, the last 2 years left, we are looking at the development issues, developmental issues. There are so many good things that the Jubilee Party and the Jubilee government have done, but we have not lauded them. Most of the main media, the outside media, talk about the petty sensational things. So we shall concentrate for us with effect from now onwards. We shall concentrate on developmental issues only, to bring out issues, to bring out Huduma Center, to encourage people to be patriotic, to stand by their country, to defend their country all the time. Those are the things we want to talk about. 3, another issue that we brought out is the question of elections. What does it bring us? Where are we? Where are we heading to? We must learn never to be divided. Never to be divided. A house divided collapses. Respect for the president is very paramount. His Excellency the President is the only person who was given the commandership of this country. Therefore, Maraga or whoever should respect the president. 4, Maraga should, take a leave. He can't manage that court. His incompetency is too high. Then we have bad structures of the criminal justice system that have destroyed the same court. The courts, the parliament changed some laws to fix some of the criminals who can't enter the court on Friday, come out on Tuesday. Thank you.
Very well, Dr. Masanga. Let's now talk about South Sudan and the peace, the elusive peace in South Sudan. Of course, the attempt to try and bring a truce, or rather strike a truce in as far as the warring factions are concerned in the South Sudan is concerned, has not been that very easy. It's been a big headache for the region and the entire world. We've seen even these leaders going up to Vatican to try and get maybe blessings from the Pope himself, but things seem not to be working at all. This time around, Dr. Masanga, moving forward, we have seen the leaders are in Uganda as we speak. with the host president Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and Kenya's former vice president Kalonzo Musyoka. I don't know if you are privy to any information. Is anything forthcoming?
They have. So far, I told you 3 days ago, I picked a phone and I talked to Dr. Riek Machar through my communication systems.
Yes.
And I encouraged him to come to Kampala, to go. And I told him the consequences. Fortunately now, Africa itself, in Kampala, they have given 100 days more. That's 3 months more. That means from now up to the end of January.
Is it at the request of the warring factions?
I think, yes. It has just come from 411.
Yeah, sure.
In Kampala, I've called there before I came to the studio. They have agreed 100 days. But I've also told the person I talked to who is inside the conference, I said, it is too late.
Yeah, in fact, I was coming into that. Do you think time has not been enough for these warring factions to come together, to come to table and agree?
It has been, they have had time, they misused it, and I think this country that I've been telling you all the time, that there's a country that has drafted a resolution, is going to table it in weeks to come. So I'm sorry to tell all my viewers that Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar will sign this agreement when the tribunal has been formed.
Well, Dr. Masanga, then what
the tribunal, there are people who are on the tribunal side. They want the tribunal, and they were giving them up to 12th of November to sign and form a government of national unity, such that it starts tackling the question of accountability. You know what is sticking in the South Sudan conflict is accountability. 384,000 people perished. They went down. They went down. They got lost.
Yeah, not to
they
mention
were
those
killed.
who have been displaced.
They were killed. 2.4 million people are displaced. 300,000 people are gone. They were mauled by bullets and guns and bombs and whatever. So you think a country cannot have accountability? People are looking for accountability. Therefore, the more you delay, the more you delay, the more problems are. But I understand the problems that are involved in the peace process, because you need money, you need resources, you need to assemble troops, you need to assemble the peacekeeping force, separating enforcement, those who will keep the peace agreement. There must be a unit. So to them, I think there is that space. But to these international agencies that are fed up, they are not happy. And I'm sorry to say, I don't think this country is going to hold that peace, that resolution of a hybrid court.
Dr. Masanga, obviously, this is not the first kind of agreement that the leaders in South Sudan have signed ever since this conflict actually arose. What is the possibility that this time around this is going to be honored? And also in line with that, Daktari, what do you suppose has been the biggest obstacle in as far as finding a truce in the conflict in South Sudan is concerned?
Ego. Riek and Salva Kiir both have ego. That's it.
What then will be a solution? Because I'm seeing some of the viewers here asking, what will then be a solution in case they renege on the very pledge and promise that they have signed, possibly the 100 days that we are talking about? What will be the action? Is it something that is action bound?
I've told you, Tawish,
yes,
that they are going to sign this under the United Nations tribunal. There is a tribunal coming.
And they must abide by it.
And they are going to announce it. There is a country that has drafted a resolution, and they are going to table that resolution for United Nations to set up a United Nations tribunal similar to that of Rwanda tribunal or Yugoslavia tribunal to look into, or Sierra Leone tribunal to look into the atrocities. Then people will run very fast to sign this agreement.
Yes, Dr. Ray. And so what, for those who do not maybe understand, who are not really aware of what will be the implication of not honoring this pledge or this promise or the signing of this agreement that these leaders are making today in Uganda, what are the implications? Are there any kind of ramification on the side of the leaders who are not going, for example, to honor? Because from 2013, we have been seeing them signing every other agreement, save for this one being a tribunal. What will be the implication if they don't honor it?
I have told you, and I'm telling Ms. Agota why there is a tribunal. It is coming. That tribunal is going to make these guys sign this agreement because they will, whether they now sign or they don't, they will be called to the tribunal.
Yes.
The Yugoslavian way. It is being formulated, and the country, I've already told Riek Machar, and me, I'm honest. I've told both of them that the tribunal, one of them made a mistake and tried to call Reinberger. You remember the Reinberger, the ambassador was here. Sudan hired him to persuade America not to set a tribunal. Impossible.
Yes.
Mr. Reinberger is part of the American system that wants tribunals on Africa.
Yes.
You can't tell him to persuade. So there is a country in Europe that had drafted a resolution, and it has been waiting for 12th of November to elapse without signature. They are moving. So the Kampala agreement, and unfortunately, Mr. Kalonzo, whenever he is, when he comes back to Kenya, also ask some of us, because he knows Sudan, but he doesn't know Riek. At least I know Riek. Riek respects me, and I respect him. We shout at each other, but he shouts at me, and I also shout at him. I know what is going on there more than anybody else. I know what is inside there, what is going on. I'm telling you, they are going to slap these people with a new hybrid tribunal that will look into the human rights abuses, and that is going to happen. It might be in any capital, either in Tanzania or anywhere in Europe. It doesn't matter. And they will name. There is no way you can do a peace agreement to stand firm without accountability. 384,000 people went down, perished. You can't tell me people are going to sit and wait and say, hallelujah, thank you very much, we are here. No. It's over. If they don't sign these things as they have now extended, if they have now extended this thing, they have brought a very big quagmire. Because these countries were waiting only for that. You see these countries in Europe and America, they believe in people called Kuluni and Pedegast. They don't believe in Masanga. This is why I wrote this topic. The last topic, when I said being an African
in Africa
is a problem.
Is a problem. Finally,
you know why I brought it? I brought it because of this. My fellow Africans have not been listening to me. They have not been listening to me. Like the whites listen to Kulune and Pedegast. Africans don't listen to me. Not only me, to other people, African scholars. If you come here and tell these guys there is a tribunal coming, they think he's lying. Now, you see, I told you people, they won't be, Riek will not sign this thing in November. You heard it.
Yes, sure.
Didn't I say it?
You said.
You were here. I said they will not, because this peace agreement has been done upside down. And I want to tell Kalonzo, Honorable, the former Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo, come and talk to some of us. Because the more you think you'll fly that way, you are in trouble. You will be condemned for having failed that peace process. Come back and listen to what is the problem of South Sudan. You can't do a peace agreement the way they have done it. You cannot start with political arrangement when you have no accountability. Walai ya Mungu, hakuna. It can't work.
It's destined for failure.
Yes.
So, Dr. Masanga, as we wind up on that, maybe because again, patience could be running out for the people of South Sudan, and as far as this is concerned, what will be your appeal to the people of South Sudan? More so on the question of cessation of hostilities and infighting that we continue to witness, even in the face of such kind of agreements that are being signed by the protagonist in this particular conflict.
The what? What you are saying?
I'm talking about the appeal that you can make for the people of, or rather to the people of South Sudan. Because again, there's continued killing, for example.
They have already,
displacement of
you
people.
see in Kampala, they have already extended, they want 100 days.
Yes.
I have told Riak, the country that wants to bring a resolution, let them talk to it. I've not hidden.
Yes.
Let them convince them, not me. But I have told you, there is a country in Europe that is taking a resolution to the Security Council to hammer both leaders to go to that tribunal.
Yes.
So the best thing that the leaders should do now is to hurriedly change tactic and start signing this thing even before 100 days elapse. If they don't, they will become pariah
state.
No, pariah leaders.
Yeah, pariah leaders, yeah.
You will not be able to move. Mm-hmm. There will be a tribunal that will look for you. That is all. It's going to happen. Just watch. And Mr. Agot is saying Bashir should be taken to the ICC. Bashir's case, even if he's taken to ICC, died. Mm-hmm. You remember what made Mr. Ocampo to leave? The $17 million that they were paid to indict Bashir. Bashir has no case in the ICC. It will die. But it is because now they want to punish, to get him out so that Sudan can be, rehabilitated like they took Babugo, to allow Ouattara to enjoy. Yet Ouattara also killed. Ouattara killed Cote d'Ivoire people. He killed them. He was also using a gun. He was a leader. We should have taken both of them to the ICC. Let's be very honest. Yeah. We should have taken both Ouattara and Babugo, so that they all answer for the charges. But because Ouattara is supported by France, which pays salaries for ICC, Ouattara, Lassana Ouattara could not be taken to the ICC. Now, on coming back to Sudan, the issue is some country in Europe, or 2 or 3, are not happy. One of them wanted the oil. It never got oil. So it had given up to 12. And I kept on warning my brothers that if you don't sign this thing on 12, there will be chaos. Mm-hmm. And watch the space.
Okay, Doctor, let me read one more comment before we come into that very last topic. One viewer who goes by the name Ayuen Kwol Gukwei BR says, I welcome it if it's going to bring everlasting peace, because Dr. Riek said that those outstanding issues were the causes of the July 2016 war. As South Sudanese, we are tired of them all. If only And only if we are given a chance to go for election, I bet none will return to this highest podium. Apparently, things will be okay as long as they will all go, Dr. Masanga. So this is one of the viewers, people in South Sudan. They are saying things will only be better in South Sudan if they don't have the two leaders at the high office. So I don't know how true is that, or is just an opinion they hold on to that.
So if you don't want them, you can't kill them. What do? You take them to the tribunal.
Yes. That will be the solution. So very finally, Dr. Masanga, there's this topic.
Have I answered you? Are you happy now?
Sure.
If you don't want them, that's what South Sudanese saying.
Yes.
So the international community is reasoning in the same way.
Yes.
That it looks like the two leaders are the ones that are stumbling block. The only way to solve this problem is to land them in the tribunal. When they took Milosevic and the others, the Serbian leaders, the Serbian leaders, the Macedonians, the Albanian leaders, the Sarajevo, what is the capital city, the country is called what? Bosnia. Bosnians, they were all taken. Peace returned. And that's the format there. This, I have seen it. I've seen that resolution. There is a country in Europe, too. They are gonna, and they are serious members of this UN. When they cough, UN listens. So my brothers here, President Museveni should have taken my advice. Because I told Rugunda much earlier that if there is a delay, forget it. The resolution will be on table. It will be there. So the next thing we shall see, the two leaders sign, either running very fast to sign, to save themselves from arrests of a tribunal warrants.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. Just before...
Because people, you know, this small organization like a Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, they are chasing the number of people who died. They are saying 384,000 people perished, lost their lives. They died. Accountability zero. And you cannot now make political arrangement without accountability.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a point there. That's why the peace process goes forward, backwards. Riek Machar is saying he doesn't have guarantee of his return because of accountability. Something is, people still feel that they lost their people.
It's literally like taking the cart before the horse.
Yes, someone will come up and say, you lost my people. He can harm Dr. Riek Machar. I lost my parents. Your troops killed them. What will you do? You will kill him. So what the best thing to do, Riek is arguing a point, make security stronger, let there be guarantees. But unfortunately, they have wasted a lot of time. IGAD did not see this, and they did not take us seriously. That's why I said, being an African in Africa is a problem.
Or better yet, is a tragedy. That is it, Dr. Masanga.
Can you bring, that's the next...
Yes, Dr. Masanga, and indeed, just like you have put it, I mean, for Dr. Riek Machar, possibly what he's looking up to is if there can be some terms of references and rules of engagement before maybe they can finally strike this truce and go back to South Sudan without any problem. But that said and done, I think generally what we are appealing for the people of South Sudan is to ensure that they try as much as possible to maintain peace and order, even as the leaders and other regional leaders attempt to strike a compromise and a peace deal between the two warring factions, and of course, consequently for the people of South Sudan, because that is what is paramount. The kind of killings that we are seeing, the kind of humanitarian catastrophes that we are witnessing in South Sudan is uncalled for, is something that we cannot continue to champion for just for the sake of power, or the two people who are fighting for power. It is important that they can put this aside for the greater good of the people of South Sudan. Dr. Masanga, now we come to this very interesting, because I'm sure there are people who are waiting with the bated breath really to see what is this. Dr. Masanga is talking about being an African is a tragedy in the African soil itself, Dr. Masanga. Because again, there are people who say we are proud being Africans in African soil, and every other time we see, for example, people even from outside our continent come to visit us. There are times I remember when President Donald Trump of America came out and said Africa is a shithole country. And almost all of us who are coming out bashing President Donald Trump and saying, how can he say that of African continent? What is it, Dr. Masanga, that you're finding it's a tragedy for an African in the African continent?
You know what? We are reactive. We are not proactive.
Yes.
For example, today, when Kenya got a relief on the Somalia piracy, on Somalia maritime
border dispute,
have you ever heard of people again talking about it?
Have gone silent.
When you go and remind them that these are the things to be done before June next year, somebody will get annoyed with you. Said, it is too late, it's too early.
Yeah. 1 year is enough.
Have we marked that point? We are not proactive.
Yes.
We are reactive. If you say now, Africa, there will be a peace agreement signed on 12th. African leaders have watched. Today is 8th. 4 days to go is when Museveni calls a conference. Yet he would have called a conference to understand these difficulties much earlier and said, you leaders, there is a tribunal that people are framing. We don't want to see you, President Salva Kiir, when you fly to some conference, someone says no, you should be kept somewhere. Or react, you should be brought to where we are. We are not proactive. That's why I said being an African is a tragedy in Africa. Another point, are those examples good for you?
Sure.
Look at what is happening in most of these countries. Look at Somalia, for example. President Faramijo was helped by Kenya, stabilizing Kismayo and the southern part of Somalia. Instead of him being very grateful, being in Africa is a tragedy. He has not been grateful. He hates Kenya. He abandons Kenya. He goes to Turkey to acquire 18 jet fighters of latest make in preparation for defending the Indian Ocean, which he doesn't know whether there is oil or no oil. Being in Africa is a tragedy. Have you seen that? Ethiopia and Egypt have a quarrel over Nile, the Blue Nile, or the White Nile. I don't know which one is what. It's the Blue Nile. The dam is being built, which will deny Africa or Egypt water. Because of that, instead of the chairman of African Union, who is El Assisi, who is the president, the chairperson of African Union, instead of going to sit down with Ethiopia and call other African, he has called the United States of America. A chairman of AU is gone to US to beg them to help him to sort a problem between Ethiopia and Egypt. Being an African is a problem in Africa. Come back to IGAD. IGAD knows that the agreement that they sorted out on South Sudan was awkward.
Yeah.
They don't listen. When this war broke out, 5 days after the war, I wrote a document, handed it to African foreign ministers, including Amina Mohammed. I gave that document to Madame Amina Mohammed. I said, for peace to return to South Sudan, you need what we call basics. What are the basics? What are the basics? Accountability is the basic.
Yeah.
You need an AU envoy. Until that peace is done on the model of the document I wrote, there will be no peace here. And I agree with you, Dennis M1, double standards of AU and IGAD.
And Africans.
And Africans. Mm-hmm. Being born in Africa and being an African,
it's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. The countries that are negotiating peace in South Sudan are themselves arming Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. Being in Africa is a tragedy of being an African. Look at that. Who is arming these sides? The people calling for all these meetings have a stake in South Sudan. And therefore peace cannot come until you have UN taking. That's why the resolution that is coming after 12th November is sponsoring and taking charge, coming back to my resolution that I wrote, my paper that I wrote. I wanted a special envoy specifically for Sudan with a full mandate to shoot, to kill if you violate the agreement that you have reached. That was not done. IGAD went its way. People went on accumulating allowances. Where are we now? We have South Sudanese lying in bushes, dying. Children have not gone to school, dying of war. Because the person who wrote the paper is an African. Being in Africa is a tragedy to be African.
Yeah.
Cameroon, if you go to Amazonia, if you look 3 years ago, when President Biya started closing down schools and the courts, wanting everybody to speak French, we have cried and the AU is watching. Not even a single day has the African Union called on President Paul Biya to come to African Union Security Council to explain the situation in Cameroon. People are dying. America is coming now. It is only that America arrives, gives embargo, tells Biya that you are no longer going to trade with us, is when we wake up. Being in Africa is a tragedy, being African. Anything else?
Very well said, Dr. Masanga. Thank you so much for that. And I think that very topic is what is where we wind up the program this morning.
Yes.
This afternoon, actually, it's about 1 p.m. East Africa time. Thank you so much, everyone who has been watching and sending in your comments. We truly appreciate, because again, the comments have been coming in thick and fast, and so many of you have been watching. That indeed tells how much you love Punchline Africa TV for that information, to give you this information, and most of the African stories, that is unbiased kind of coverage. We want to thank you very, very much for giving us a company. We've been tackling the problem of an African in the African continent, quest for elusive peace in South Sudan, the legacy trend of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the kind of politics that we continue to experience in the country here in Kenya, the obstacles, and how President Kenyatta can achieve this legacy. We've also looked into the week that was, in terms of what has characterized the entire week in terms of the politics, the by-election in Kibra, and so many of these kinds of things. And thank you so much, everyone who's been watching. My name is Samuel Tawish. Before I just wind up, let me hand it over to the General himself, Dr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tawish, special programs editor and investigative part of yourself. thank you very much for honoring us coming here today. Miriam is away for some time for her exams, and we shall be running the shows as time goes on until she returns next week after her exams. We want to thank you very much that is what we can do. We shall be focusing mostly on developmental programs of the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Other topics that will come will be the diplomatic leaks, which are very, very popular.
Yes.
And then Matanga Africa Perspective, then the Punch, which you saw yesterday. The topic of diplomatic leaks of last week is doing wonders. I think you have seen. We have got almost over 20,000 viewers, which is very good within a short time. And that day, that topic, because it was a very enlightening, it gave us the insight of what it is, how international conspiracies work against Africa. So thank you very much, all of you viewers. Have a nice weekend. Always remember to wear African attire, like the one I'm wearing. And I did not want, I wish you would have worn its best
I'll do next
Masai.
time. I'll do next time.
Yes, every Friday. President Uhuru Kenyatta said, every Friday, everybody try to wear what you can. And here I am, I'm relaxed with my bit of my chest open to show that this is it, an African guy whose sunshine is in plenty. People. By the way, I'd have thought that if I became the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of Uganda, I would actually impose a visa for all Americans coming to Uganda to pay $1,000 per visa.
Why?
Because it is our tourism. That's the only way we can make money. Why do you allow people to come and see the animals which they cannot see in their country for free, for $50? No. $1,000. We make money, whether you come or not, whether you have seen the animal or not. $1,000 visa. And I just want to take this opportunity to ask President Museveni that when you are considering now in your cabinet, consider me. I'll do it for pro bono. I'll raise the standard of my country. Because my minister now cannot. By the way, we left one thing. Akansha, the Ankasha family, the sentencing is today. So Chief Justice Maraga, who said there were no judges being looked for, walai, now, after today's sentence, the judges that handled these cases in Mombasa be on standby to arrive United States of America courts. Our Ugandan minister cannot travel there. Did you know that? We're in chaos. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Uganda cannot travel to United States of America. Mambo imeumana huko. Imeumana. You have been away for too long. You didn't know this. The man who bribed, who paid $2 million, is in jail already, serving. He was going to serve 20 years. He did what we call a pre-bargain. Kwisha. A pre-bargain, he said, yes, I gave money not for free, it's for bribe. So when they said that the American court want to talk to you who was bribed. So judges here, there are 3 plus 1 defense lawyer. Qua stand by Jamen. Today, they are sentencing Akasha. They are coming for you. So Mr. Maraga, it adds to Maraga's departure. Because under Maraga, frustration was available. He did not take heed when people were telling him these judges frustrating fixing this case. Yeah. There will be a sentencing of one of Akasha's family today in New York courts. Keep watching. It could be long. It could be life. So you who took part to excuse him to go back and do more drugs might receive a life sentence as an accomplice. This station is informative, calculative, and decisive. Now you are talking. We're back. The station is
for Africa,
by Africa, with Africa. Child.